Muammar Gaddafi was born into a Bedouin family in Sirte, Libya in 1942. His early years were spent in the harsh and unforgiving environment of the desert, where he learned the values of resilience and self-reliance from a young age. His upbringing in the desert instilled in him a strong sense of Arab identity and a disdain for the poverty and underdevelopment that plagued his country under British and French colonial rule. The stark contrast between the rich cultural heritage of his people and the dire economic conditions they faced left a lasting impression on him. Gaddafi's education exposed him to the ideas of Pan-Arabism and Arab nationalism, which resonated deeply with his own experiences. He was an avid reader and a keen student, absorbing the revolutionary ideas that were sweeping across the Arab world at the time. He was particularly drawn to the teachings of Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser, who advocated for Arab unity and independence from foreign powers. Nasser's speeches and writings ignited a fire in the young Gaddafi, who saw in them a blueprint for the liberation and unification of the Arab world. Inspired by Nasser's vision, Gaddafi joined the Libyan military, seeing it as a vehicle for both personal advancement and national liberation. He believed that the military could be a powerful force for change, capable of overthrowing the old order and establishing a new, just society. He excelled in his military studies, receiving training in Libya and later in the United Kingdom. This international exposure broadened his horizons and provided him with valuable insights into military strategy and tactics. This experience further fueled his ambition and his belief that he could play a pivotal role in transforming Libya's destiny. Gaddafi was determined to use his skills and knowledge to bring about a revolution that would free his country from foreign domination and internal corruption. He formed a secret revolutionary group within the military, uniting like-minded officers who shared his vision for a new Libya. These officers were disillusioned with the status quo and eager to take bold action to change it. Gaddafi's charisma and ideological fervor proved to be a potent combination. He was able to inspire and motivate his fellow officers, convincing them that they could succeed in their revolutionary goals. He rallied his fellow officers around a plan to overthrow the monarchy of King Idris, whom they viewed as corrupt and beholden to Western interests. The plan was daring and risky, but Gaddafi's confidence and determination were infectious. The stage was set for a revolution that would transform Libya's political landscape and propel Gaddafi onto the world stage. The successful coup in 1969 marked the beginning of a new era for Libya, one that promised hope and change. This revolution would mark the beginning of Gaddafi's long and tumultuous reign, one that would be marked by both progress and brutality, by moments of genuine vision and periods of authoritarian excess. His rule would leave an indelible mark on Libya, shaping its history and its future in profound ways. Gaddafi's impact on Libya was multifaceted. On one hand, he implemented policies that aimed to modernize the country and improve the lives of its citizens. On the other hand, his authoritarian methods and suppression of dissent created a climate of fear and repression. Despite the controversies surrounding his rule, Gaddafi's vision for a united and independent Libya continued to resonate with many. His speeches and public appearances were marked by a passionate commitment to his ideals, even as his methods became increasingly draconian. As we reflect on Gaddafi's early life and military ambitions, it is clear that his journey from a young Bedouin boy in the desert to a revolutionary leader was driven by a deep-seated desire to transform his country. His legacy remains a complex and contested one, with both positive and negative aspects that continue to influence Libya's path forward. On September 1, 1969, Gaddafi and his group of young officers launched their daring coup d'etat. This group, known as the Free Officers Movement, had been planning their move for years, inspired by the Egyptian revolution led by Gamal Abdel Nasser. They were determined to overthrow the monarchy and establish a new order in Libya. The coup, remarkably bloodless, caught the aging King Idris off guard while he was seeking medical treatment abroad. King Idris, who had ruled Libya since its independence in 1951, was seen as increasingly out of touch with the needs and aspirations of his people. His absence during the coup made it easier for the young officers to take control without significant resistance. With surprising speed and efficiency, Gaddafi's forces seized control of key government buildings, radio stations, and military installations. The well-coordinated operation ensured that the coup was swift and decisive, leaving little room for counteraction. The takeover was meticulously planned, with each officer knowing their role and executing it with precision. The Libyan people, weary of the monarchy and eager for change, largely welcomed the coup. The streets of Tripoli and other major cities were filled with jubilant crowds celebrating the end of the old regime. Many Libyans saw this as a new dawn, a chance to build a nation that reflected their hopes and dreams. Gaddafi, at the age of 27, emerged as the leader of the newly proclaimed Libyan Arab Republic. His youth and charisma made him a symbol of the revolutionary spirit that had swept the country. He promised to bring about a new era of prosperity and justice for all Libyans. He quickly moved to consolidate his power, purging the government and military of those loyal to the old regime. This was a crucial step in ensuring that there would be no attempts to restore the monarchy. Gaddafi's purges were thorough, and he replaced the old guard with loyalists who shared his vision for Libya's future. He nationalized foreign oil companies, bringing Libya's vast oil wealth under state control. This move was not only a statement of economic independence, but also a way to ensure that the wealth generated from Libya's natural resources would benefit its people. The nationalization of oil was a bold and controversial step that redefined Libya's economic landscape. This bold move sent shockwaves through the international community and provided Gaddafi with the resources to finance his ambitious plans for Libya's transformation. The nationalization of oil allowed Gaddafi to invest in various sectors, from infrastructure to social programs, aiming to modernize the country and improve the quality of life for its citizens. Gaddafi's early years in power were marked by a fervent commitment to revolutionary change. He was a passionate speaker, often addressing large crowds and outlining his vision for a new Libya. His speeches were filled with promises of social justice, economic equality, and national pride. He implemented sweeping social, economic, and political reforms, aiming to create a more equitable society based on his own unique blend of Arab nationalism, socialism, and Islam. These reforms were designed to break away from the colonial past and build a self-reliant nation. Gaddafi's policies were radical and often controversial, but they resonated with many Libyans who were eager for change. He invested heavily in education, healthcare, and infrastructure, dramatically improving the living standards of many Libyans. New schools, hospitals, and roads were built, and access to education and healthcare was expanded. These investments were part of Gaddafi's broader strategy to create a more prosperous and self-sufficient Libya. He also championed the rights of women, granting them greater freedoms and opportunities than they had enjoyed under the monarchy. Women were encouraged to pursue education and careers, and new laws were enacted to protect their rights. This was a significant shift in a traditionally conservative society and marked a progressive step towards gender equality in Libya. In 1975, Gaddafi published his political manifesto, the Green Book, a slim volume outlining his third universal theory. This theory was Gaddafi's ambitious attempt to chart a new course for political and social organization. He argued that his theory offered a superior alternative to both capitalism and communism, which he viewed as fundamentally flawed and oppressive systems. Capitalism, he believed, led to exploitation and inequality, while communism, despite its promises of equality, resulted in authoritarianism and lack of personal freedoms. The Green Book called for a decentralized, stateless society based on direct democracy, with power vested in the hands of the people through a system of popular committees. These committees were intended to be the true voice of the people, bypassing traditional governmental structures. Gaddafi's vision, while appealing in its idealism, proved difficult to implement in practice. The complexities of modern governance and the entrenched interests of various factions made the realization of his utopian ideals challenging. The Green Book's ideas on direct democracy often clashed with the realities of governing a complex modern state. The practicalities of administration, economic management, and international relations required a level of centralization and expertise that the popular committees struggled to provide. Critics argued that Gaddafi's system of popular committees was often used to stifle dissent and consolidate his own power. Instead of empowering the people, these committees frequently became tools for surveillance and control. The Green Book, nonetheless, became a central text in Libya, shaping the country's political discourse and providing the ideological framework for Gaddafi's rule. It was taught in schools, discussed in public forums, and used as a reference in political debates. Gaddafi's attempts to put his theories into practice had a profound impact on Libyan society. His vision influenced various aspects of daily life, from education and healthcare to social norms and community organization. He sought to create a Jamahiriya, a state of the masses, where power theoretically rested with the people. This concept was meant to be a radical departure from traditional state structures, emphasizing grassroots participation and collective decision-making. This led to the creation of numerous committees and congresses meant to give citizens a direct voice in government. These bodies were supposed to be the pillars of the Jamahiriya, ensuring that every citizen had a say in the governance of the country. However, critics argued that these structures were often more about appearances than substance, serving mainly to legitimize Gaddafi's rule and suppress any genuine opposition. The reality of Gaddafi's Libya was one where dissent was not tolerated, and the promise of true democracy remained unfulfilled. Internationally, Gaddafi's ideas were met with skepticism and criticism. Many saw his vision as impractical and his methods as authoritarian. Despite this, Gaddafi remained a prominent figure on the world stage, his Green Book continuing to spark debate and discussion. Today, the legacy of the Green Book and Gaddafi's vision for a new world remains a complex and contentious topic. While some view it as a bold experiment in political theory, others see it as a failed attempt that led to decades of autocratic rule and social upheaval. Driven by his Pan-Arabist ideals, Gaddafi sought to create a united Arab state, a vision shared by many in the Arab world following Nasser's death. He initiated several attempts at unity with other Arab countries, including Egypt, Tunisia, and Syria. But these efforts ultimately faltered due to political differences and competing national interests. Undeterred, Gaddafi turned his attention to Africa, where he sought to position himself as a champion of the continent's developing nations. He poured billions of dollars into aid projects, infrastructure development, and military support for African countries, particularly those struggling against colonialism and apartheid. Gaddafi's efforts in Africa earned him both admiration and suspicion. While many African leaders appreciated his financial assistance and his outspoken stance against Western imperialism, others viewed his ambitions with caution, wary of his interference in their internal affairs. Gaddafi's vision for Africa extended beyond economic development and political unity. He dreamed of a continent that could stand on its own, free from the influence and control of the West. He called for the creation of a single African currency, a Pan-African military force, and a unified African voice on the global stage. These ideas, while ambitious, resonated with many who shared his desire for a stronger and more independent Africa. What's up, everyone? Glad you tuned in. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Your support means the world. Stay awesome and see you next time.